Congresswoman Gwen Moore is a Democrat representing Wisconsin, and Republican Congressman David Schweikert of Arizona. Both are members of the Ways and Means Committee. Gwen, I'll be with you in a second, Congresswoman, but I just want to hear from Congressman Schweikert. Do you think there is a time and a place to use the, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's the nuclear option, government shutdown? Are you for it in any cases, Congressman?
Look, I wouldn't call it the nuclear option, but it's a stressor that is not particularly useful and helpful. We're going through the battle right now, though. The deficit, we're going to hit 9% of GDP this year, in the current. So we may come in as high as 2.4 trillion in the current fiscal year. And I think what's happened is, for those of us who are in that battle of how do we get some fiscal sanity to understand the numbers, almost no one listens, or no one's really willing to actually deal with the reality of how ugly the numbers are until you get up against these stressors. The problem is this is really bad leadership on our part, and we need to actually get through this. But it is about the money.
Well, Congressman, bad leadership. What would you do to get Matt Gaetz or Andy Biggs or any of the, and they are famous. There are some famous names there. I'm not saying that it's solely due to this, but it's let's say you're leading. How would you get them? What would you do right now if you were McCarthy?
Well, and there's one of the great difficulties the speaker has are the motivations solely altruistic? Is it, wanting to take on the debt and the deficits and the projection, which is just so ugly? Or is it raising money or other self-motivators? And that's the nature of the body when you have, 435 people who all represent.
You just said it was bad leadership. So what how would you?
Actually, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can actually, in many ways, only sort of work to each individual's idiosyncrasy so many times. And you then turn around, as you've seen, we've had a couple of our members sort of change their mind from day to day.
Right. Congresswoman, in a different vein, let's say that Republicans agree to something to keep it running 2 months. It's bipartisan. We kick it down the can again. What are you willing to do to address, or what should Democrats be willing to do to address some of Congressman Schweikert's concerns about how much we're spending in debt service and everything else that can just choke off the government from doing all the things it would like to do?
Well, good morning. And, of course, Representative Schweikert knows he's one of my favorite members of the Ways and Means Committee on the other side.
I'm worried,
I feel the same about Gwen.
Something bad is coming. Something bad is coming.
But he's also the House chairman of the Joint Economic Committee. And I'm telling you, a shutdown would be devastating to our economy. And I think that he protests too much about the deficit, considering that the deficit went up by 39% under President Trump with his help. And, of course, he's prepared to make permanent those tax cuts that we provided through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I wasn't on the committee at that time. That basically went to corporations, and to really the spending that he's complaining about would take it out of the hides of people on SNAP and food stamps, and take it out of the hides of WIC and babies and the poorest of the poor. I think that Democrats are willing to help prevent a shutdown, but I don't think it's sustainable to say that after the agreement that Republicans made to cut the deficit by almost $1.5 trillion, they want another $120 billion on top of that, in addition to all of these other extraneous things that may show up in a bill. We got to impeach Joe Biden. We got to put abortion riders in. We can't provide funding for Ukraine. And I do think, the deficit is a concern, but I just want the Representative Schweikert to be very, very transparent. Number one, the deficit, when you consider George W. Bush, And Donald Trump, no other president, has increased the deficit as much as he has. Notwithstanding the deficit, he still has had the greatest increases because of this propensity and need to cut taxes to the very wealthy and then lie about how it's going to somehow trickle down to regular people.
Congressman?
Look, I love Gwen, but those are just the classic talking points we get into, and then on my side, we'll talk about, the economic growth and then the Democrats' Inflation Reduction Act. The number one driver of the deficit is demographics. And we're uncomfortable telling that truth. We got old. It's what happened in the society. You look at from today through the next 30 years, the $130+ trillion of borrowing that's coming is substantially driven by Medicare, and if we choose to backfill Social Security. Remember, Social Security the trust fund is empty in 9 years. And so this year, we're going to borrow as high as about 2.4 trillion, looks like, is my math. That's 9% of GDP. We're hitting numbers that should put us all into a panic.
Well,
Matter of fact,
Congressman,
I'm still shocked the market isn't reacting more aggressively to this.
You mentioned a lack of leadership. I mean, that's now it does apply, because you can't get the candidates of either party to talk about entitlements. They're off the table on both sides.
And that's the point.
And there becomes
you
the
heard it here
difficulty.
first, folks. They want to cut Medicare and Social Security in order to balance the budget on your back.
And that's just, Gwen, that's absolutely not true.
They have cut.
Gwen, that's not true. The most
What
violence
about
that's
these
been
rich
done to
people
Social
who
Security
avoid taxes?
was done by the
Knock it
president when he made it so we're not allowed to talk about it, which he said during the State of the Union. Being the previous, ranker on Social Security, in 9 years, the very first year is $616 billion shortfall, and the Democrats' proposal only covers 20% of that shortfall. You're going to double senior poverty in 9 years. It's immoral. But
Congressman Schweikert, the problem is both parties have Congressman Schweikert, both parties have signed off on this. Your former President Donald Trump from the Republican Party basically said the same. There's not even a debate on the table when it comes to entitlements, because both sides are afraid of being accused of what Representative Moore is just saying.
And there's just a few of us out there who I get up on the floor every week and try to walk America through just how devastatingly ugly the math is, because the math will eventually win here.